I like to always get started by just getting to know you a little bit better and understanding what it is that you do professionally. So could you please tell us your name, your job title, and what does that mean? What does that entail?
So thanks so much for having me. I'm really delighted to have the opportunity to speak to you and to get to know the audience of EduFest as well. I'm Laura Henderson. I'm the head of program for Frontiers for Young Minds, which is a free and open access kids science journal online designed to provide scientifically accurate but really engaging and easy to read articles for young people to stay passionate about science as they go through their school life. So what it really means is that I get the great pleasure of being able to tell the world about this fantastic project and how unique it is. I get to communicate with other educators and connect with partners for the project as well.
And was this something that for you was always kind of a goal that you were aiming towards, or did it happen almost by accident? Was scientific research and education kind of a meeting of the two worlds that you always wanted to end up at, or how did you come about this job?
Well, that's a really good question because I don't think anybody ever quite plans to end up with a project this special. It's impossible to plan for per se. I had 20 years career total in scientific publishing. So the more standard publications of research, where you're publishing in journals or in books. I was commissioning that content, project managing the publications in various academic presses for 15 years. And then after working with Frontiers, who are an open access publisher of journal research, the opportunity to lead this project came up. This is a completely unique project funded by the Frontiers Research Foundation and their partners. And as a non-profit science communication and science engagement project for young readers worldwide, I jumped at the chance. I had become a mother the year before the opportunity came up. I was very fired up by the idea of getting young people engaged from an early age. And it also gave me the opportunity to step from science publication into real communication, real world engagement with science, rather than simply providing publications for researchers. And that was a very appealing step in my career for me.
What can EduFest attendees expect to hear about during your session?
So my session is aimed to talk about how we can educate young people about topics which cause a great deal of anxiety naturally as they learn about the dangers that face them in their future world and that are beginning to materialize right now. I use the example of the impacts of climate change, on which there's been some great recent research about how this actually has a paralyzing effect on young people because of the sheer level of anxiety that it causes. So I am looking at how we can educate our people in a way that positively engages them, instead of causing that paralyzing fear, keeping the sense of hope, and therefore keeping the sense that action matters and showing that they can take that action that matters. Every little counts. We are all in this. And I'd like to use the example of some of the ways that we engage young people in our project to show how this can be done on a global scale.
It's true that we hear a lot about how the youth today, young students, young children, young adults, of course, have access to a lot more information than past generations did when it comes to climate change, when it comes to global warming, when it comes to just all the different ways in which we affect the environment and beyond the environment, the communities and societies that we live in also. And we hear from a lot of these young people how much they want to be part of the solution, right?
Mhm.
And oftentimes we don't really know how to get started in having that conversation or how to support them. So for someone that is looking at your session and thinking about, will there be any kind of practical outputs or components that I can take away that I can start implementing from the following week? What would you say to them?
I would say get started, dive in. We have some fantastic, completely free resources on our website, including an entire collection by the researchers of the IPCC themselves, the ones who publish the definitive climate report every few years. We have worked with them to produce a state-of-the-art reporting of the research, but also recommendations for climate actions to take. And these are right there, free to read, free to download, free to reuse and share. So I would say take the link and go look at it, go inspire your young people and your communities with it right now.
And I suppose we shouldn't neglect less young people. I think we can all feel the paralyzing effect of the latest research and the kind of frustration that comes with this sense of impossibility, or that sometimes, even if I take action, my small little action doesn't really mean much in the big scheme, big scale of things. Um, do you think that this session would be helpful also for people that aren't necessarily working with teenagers or young children?
I absolutely do, yes. I mean, what's really interesting about our free science journal is that we know from our demographics of readership, we know that it's not just young people reading what we put out there. Because the way we publish is very open and designed to be read by anyone without scientific training and without knowledge of scientific jargon, what we are making available is available to literally any readers. And we know there are huge sectors of adults, particularly young adults aged 18 to 24, for example, who are studying at university, thinking about how they can make a difference in their forthgoing careers. They are reading our science very, very heavily to make sure that they understand the basics before they build on those and go forward in life. So I would say there's so much to find, and we would welcome anyone to participate.
And when Laura isn't thinking about how to make the latest science more accessible, how to overcome this paralyzing effect, what does she like to do to just relax, to reconnect with nature, with herself? To, I guess, what are your passions or hobbies that you like to spend your free time doing, if you get any free time?
Well, as a full-time working mum, not a huge amount of free time, but I always try to make sure that I do take my time off to live and enjoy. It's interesting you mentioned nature because that is where I really feel happiest. I'm lucky enough to live and work in Switzerland, even though, as you can hear from my accent, I'm British. And so I absolutely love to be out. Switzerland has the most stunning landscape of lakes and mountains, lakes and mountains. So in the summer, we can hike in the mountains, we can swim in the lake in the same day. And I absolutely love to do any and all of the above, including skiing in the winter as well. So we're always out and about.
Is there a book that you recently read that you've recommended to all of your friends? Is there an album or a song that you recently discovered that you've had on repeat, or a show or a movie that you watch and completely blew your mind?
Oh, where do I begin? I'm a great consumer of all stories in all formats. So that's my passion, which also, of course, translates into my career where I'm telling science stories as well. But I love to read. I read voraciously all the time and always have. The most recent book that I read that I could not recommend highly enough was a book called Shy Creatures. And that is a wonderful story of just very simple human story about what a life is like for people who are not extroverted. And it's a beautiful observation of details of life, which I really recommend. But for me, I also love to write. So I am trying to get some novels completed, which are mostly based in history. I love to look back and see what this teaches us about how to go forward.
I love that. I hope that we get to read some of them soon.
I hope so. That's the aim.
Is there anything else that you'd like to share with the audience before we say goodbye to you today?
I think that I would just say that what we can take away from EduFest as a whole is not only for educators, it's for anyone with kids of their own, it's for anyone who wants to think about the future and sharing that with our communities. So I think that there is so much to take away from this, not just from my own session, but from many, many others as well.
And of course, you've been at EduFest already twice
Yes.
before. Do you have any tips for anybody that is coming for the first time?
So I think for people who are coming for the first time, what I would say is that you need to plan your sessions very carefully because there's a really engaging options available. And in different areas in a small campus, so it's easy to transfer from location to location. It's great. So plan your whole day. Make sure you've got a program laid out for yourself that gets you to the most relevant sessions for you, for the parallel tracks that are running, because there is so much fascinating learning to be taken away and so many expert speakers. There's also really great lived experience sessions. So there's entertainment, there's journalists, communicators, as well as educators. And you can make a really fascinating program for yourself out of the day.